My name is Sophie, and for 7 years, my marriage to Alex was my anchor. It wasn't a passionate, movie script romance anymore, but it was stable. It was comfortable. Or so I thought. Over the last year, a quiet distance had grown between us, a silence that was louder than any argument. He was always on his phone, a small, secret smile playing on his lips. The spark was gone, and I was terrified the whole marriage was about to burn out. One night, he sat me down for a serious talk. My heart pounded, bracing for the worst. But he didn't say he was leaving. He said he had a solution. "Soph," he said, taking my hands, his voice a perfect blend of modern logic and feigned concern. "We're stuck in a rut. People, relationships, they evolve. What if we tried an open marriage?" I stared at him, horrified. The idea was a knife to the heart of everything I believed in. "You want us to see other people?" I whispered. He nodded, launching into a well-rehearsed speech. "It's not about leaving each other. It's about bringing new energy back into our own relationship. It's about radical honesty. Our bond is strong enough to handle this. It's progressive. It's healthy." He framed it as a test of our strength, our trust. He subtly suggested that any reluctance on my part was a sign of old-fashioned jealousy, of insecurity. Fearing that saying no would be the final admission that our marriage was over, I heard myself agree. "Okay," I said, my voice a traitor. "A trial period." The trial period began with a sickening speed. Less than a week later, Alex told me he was going on a date. "Just dinner," he said with a casual shrug. "Her name is Isabella. We have to be honest, remember?" I nodded, a lump of ice forming in my stomach, while he got dressed, putting on the cologne I had bought him for our anniversary. I tried. I even went on one awkward, miserable date myself, but I couldn't do it. It felt like a betrayal. Meanwhile, Alex's relationship with Isabella blossomed. He'd come home from his dates, telling me just enough to maintain the illusion of honesty, but never enough to truly hurt me. It was a masterful performance. I was trying to be the cool, modern wife, but every night, I cried myself to sleep, feeling like a willing participant in the slow, agonizing death of my own marriage. The pretense of this being a casual arrangement soon fell apart. It was clear that Alex's relationship with Isabella was serious. He was always texting her, that same secret smile I had noticed before now, a constant fixture on his face. When I would gather the courage to express my pain, my jealousy, he would turn it back on me with devastating precision. "Sophie, we had an agreement," he'd say, his voice calm and rational. "I am being 100% honest with you, just like we promised. The problem isn't what I'm doing. It's your own insecurity that you can't handle it. I thought you were more progressive than this." He was a master of gaslighting. He made me feel like I was the one breaking the rules by having feelings. I started to question my own sanity. Was I the one who was old-fashioned? Was I the one who was failing our marriage by not being open enough? The doubt, however, was a double-edged sword. If he was so committed to radical honesty, then his life should be an open book. My suspicion, which he had so cleverly labeled as insecurity, turned into a quiet, cold investigation. If their relationship was so new, a product of our agreement, then there should be no trace of her in his life before that conversation 2 months ago. One night, while he was out with her, I did something I had never done before. I went through our old phone records online. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding with a mixture of guilt and dread. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but I found it. A single number, appearing again and again, for the past 9 months. Dozens of calls, hundreds of texts. Long before our open marriage talk, I did a reverse search on the number. It belonged to an Isabella Rossi, his mistress. The horrifying truth washed over me in a cold, sickening wave. The affair had been going on for the better part of a year. The entire open marriage proposal wasn't a modern solution to save our marriage. It was a monstrous, manipulative lie. He hadn't wanted to be honest. He had wanted a way to continue his affair without guilt, to make me a knowing, consenting party to my own betrayal. He had gaslit me into sanctioning his infidelity. The rage I felt was so pure and clarifying, it burned away all the tears and self-doubt. I wasn't the insecure, old-fashioned wife. I was the victim of a sophisticated psychological con man. And I was not going to let him get away with it. A dramatic confrontation would be useless. He would just lie and twist his way out of it. He needed to be exposed in a way that left no room for denial. I decided to play his game of radical honesty, but on my terms. Alex, I said a few days later, my voice dripping with fake sincerity, you were right. I've been selfish and insecure. Our arrangement is healthy, and I want to embrace it. I think I'd like to meet Isabella. If we're all going to be modern adults about this, we should all be friends. He was shocked, but delighted. He thought he had finally broken me, that I had fully accepted my new role. He arranged a dinner for the three of us at a fancy restaurant. It was his victory lap. The dinner was surreal. Isabella was beautiful and, to my surprise, seemed genuinely nervous. Alex was in his element, holding court, basking in the glow of having both his wife and his mistress at the same table. He was the king of his own twisted little kingdom. We ordered drinks, and I raised my glass. I'd like to make a toast, I said, smiling sweetly. To honesty. Alex and Isabella smiled and raised their glasses. To the radical honesty that allowed Alex to tell me about you 2 months ago, I continued, my smile never wavering. I then pulled a folder out of my handbag and placed it on the table. And to the honesty of these credit card statements, showing your romantic weekend getaways for the last 9 months. I slid the statements across the table. I watched as their smiles vanished, replaced by masks of pure horror. Isabella stared at the dates, then at Alex, a look of dawning comprehension and disgust on her face. She wasn't a willing accomplice. She was just another woman he had lied to. And a final toast, I said, placing the phone records on top of the statements. To the hundreds of secret texts and phone calls you made while you were telling me how much you wanted to save our marriage. I stood up, my voice clear and steady. It turns out I am old-fashioned after all. I believe in honesty, but I also believe in loyalty. And you, Alex, know nothing about either. I turned and walked out of the restaurant, leaving them sitting in the wreckage of their lies. I didn't look back. I had lost a husband, but I had reclaimed my sanity. I was no longer a participant in his sick game. I was free.